And just in general, whenever I'm in side control, what I always have to worry about is just the most basic escape that we know is the knee-elbow escape. If Joaquin can create a little gap in between me and him at the lower body, he can slide his knee in. Go ahead and just do the knee. Yeah, he gets that knee in, guys. That's the number one escape we're working against. So the one thing that I just like to always tell people as a beginner, if you have trouble with that escape happening to you, there's a way to prevent it, and it's just transitioning to a different position. So if we were going to start a north-south transition, which I'm trying to go parallel with my partner or in the same line with him, first I'm going to throw my arm over his head and hug his body underneath his elbow. This arm comes second. It's going to come on the near side and block the hip. That right there kills that escape. So now if he tries to get this knee in, my arm's blocking him. So that's a really good way. If you're worried about this, first thing, ready, set, go, I go boom, boom. Yeah, see? Now I can start to walk around my partner's head, and at different angles I can start to find different submissions. We can look for arm bars, we can look for different things. But let's turn a little bit. Guys, watch this. If I'm in the north-south, I can look for what we call the north-south choke, okay? It's a really powerful choke. It's very deceiving, and not a whole lot of people are really good at it. So if you can add this to your game, this is a really good spot to catch somebody slipping in. So if right now I'm chest to chest with my partner. I got the weight on him, my hips are low. If I want to start going for the north-south choke, one thing that I always like to do is I would like to see both of his hands out in front of my shoulders. If you guys see right now, I'm in north-south and both of Joaquin's hands are in front of my shoulders. This is a really good time to go for this choke. If his hands were inside, this would not be a good time to go for this choke because his arms are in a good spot to start defending it right off the bat. But if we're here, I threw that arm over. That's one arm in front of my shoulder. I blocked, maybe I've walked around his head, maybe I've come back, and now look, I see both arms out. I'm like, okay. I'm gonna take this arm under, and this all happens kind of fast. I'm just gonna do it slow and talk about all the details. I'm gonna sink my arm in underneath my partner's head as deep as possible. When I say deep as possible, I'm trying to reach my hand through as far as possible. If you guys see this little gap, this little triangle, that's where the head and neck is gonna be. Whenever I reach, I'm gonna try to close that gap off as far as I can. So I reach and I'm basically grabbing my stomach. Now this happens pretty much simultaneously, but I'm showing it separately. I'm now gonna slide off of my partner's chest and drop my chest and ribs to the floor. Watch what that looks like. You guys see that? I have to do that because my goal is to trap my partner's face against the side of my ribs. You guys see that? The way people can defend the north-south choke is if they feel me going for this, they'll turn their chin. And now there's no choke. It may hurt his face, but he can take it and he's not gonna get choked. So when I reach under, I need to catch that. You guys see? Now look, I've slid off of the chest. My chest is near the mat. There's a little piece of my collarbone on his chest still. I'm gonna take a second to grab this hand and block it. And I'm gonna scoot 1, 2, 3, as far as I can off of my partner. When I do that, my shoulder is pulling his chin up, exposing his neck. You guys see that? When I slide my weight off of the chest onto the floor, all of my weight goes to his neck. Right here. Joaquin will tell you it's tight, okay? I'm walking my fingers across my belly to tighten that up a little more. And while you're practicing, it's always good to try to finish this choke with one hand. Okay, so I'm gonna look away. I'm gonna put my head down towards the ground. I'm blocking my partner's arm. And now I'm squeezing the bicep together and dropping my shoulder down onto the neck. And he taps. You guys see, it's very little effort if you do it right. If everything's perfect, it's barely a squeeze with one arm. Of course, when we're fighting and a guy's trying not to die, you're gonna have to be patient, squeeze a few seconds, hold it, but you should still, I would say 75% of the time I finish this with one hand while we're rolling. So make sure you can do it one-handed while you're drilling because you should be able to. In real life, if I needed more leverage, I would just connect my hand, just like a guillotine. And now I'm really turning, dropping. Look how my hip is turning. Dropping that shoulder, squeezing.